Hi, I'm Simon from Two Way Digital and just wanted to make this quick video today to talk to you about this. This is my 7-step website compliance cheat sheet. It's basically a very quick guide for property professionals to take a look at their website and just make sure that everything's there. So I'll go through these quite quickly. There are obviously, there's quite a lot of in-depth details behind each of the sections, but just as a quick overview, I'll go through these. So basically what we've got here on step 1 is security. It's SSL. It's basically making your website secure. So the thing with SSL is even if you're not collecting people's data, which you should be, so you should have some kind of form where people can sign up. Obviously you should be using those to get people onto your mailing list, etc., so that you can put out useful information over time. But even if you're not doing that, you still really want to have SSL on your website, not least because Google now actually penalise you for not being secure. So if you're looking to get any kind of rankings on your website, so if you're using any form of SEO optimization, if you're putting out lots of content, etc., then by not having HTTPS on your website, you'll actually rank lower as a result of that. So quite important to get that, and it's free to use. I mean, there's free SSL certificates. You can get them set up relatively easily. If you're not sure how to do that, hit me up. I'll give you a few pointers, and you can get that set up on your site if you haven't got it. So, number 2 on the compliance cheat sheet is cookie consent. So this is something that I see a lot, especially even with estate agents. Bigger chains. You get this little button at the top of the screen as you log in saying, we use cookies, and then there's a button to clear off the message, or there's a little cross on the right hand side to shut down the bar. Not good enough. Since GDPR came into effect, there's actually quite a lot more to cookie consent now. Now GDPR itself, I've got it up on my screen here. Of its 88 pages, it only mentions cookies directly once in recital 30. You can look it up. It's a boring document, but it's the law. We have to follow it. Even though we're not members of the EU, the ICO have basically said that GDPR still stands and will stay in alignment with it. So basically, if you read recital 30, it's a little bit convoluted, but basically my interpretation of that is that companies have the right to process their users' data as long as they will receive consent. If somebody's a customer, or you've got basically a legitimate interest, you can cookie them up and you don't need consent. But if somebody comes to your website, you don't know before they've logged into your site, or unless they've already got a cookie, whether they're a customer or not. So you basically have to assume that everybody that visits your site is a visitor, and therefore you need consent to use cookies. And that's what cookie consent's all about. So there's actually another part to that, is the policy. Another thing that I see a lot is people just put we use cookies in their privacy policy. Again, no longer good enough. What GDPR alludes to now is basically people need to be informed about what cookies are being used, why they're being used, and they should be able to opt out of each type of cookie individually, essentially. So just having a button or a cross to close a notification to say that you're using cookies, not good enough anymore. Need to up your game on that. So number 3, I've got on here number 3 as terms of service. Now actually, interesting point, terms of service is not a legal requirement. Who would have thought? It's one of those things that you think, actually, yeah, of course, you need to tell people what they should expect to get for any particular service, but it's not. However, what I would say is any proper business, any decent business, should have a terms of service, just to let people know exactly what it is you're going to give them. It's more professional. It potentially is going to iron out any issues of misunderstandings, etc., and people can look at your website, find out up front exactly what to expect from you when they're dealing with you as a business. So I'd recommend, if you can get one. Number 4, what we got here, privacy policy. So after term service, terms and privacy normally go hand in hand, but privacy policy is actually a legal requirement. This comes back to GDPR again. So if you haven't got a privacy policy on your website and you are a business trading, if you're a limited company, etc., and you don't have privacy policy, you're breaking the law essentially. And if you're in property, that basically means you're a rogue trader. Didn't hear that from me. No, actually you did, because you need to get that sorted. That's very important. You do need a privacy policy. Number 5. So here we go. Number 5. We're on to showing your trading details. So you basically, if you're registered as a business, UK, so we're England and Wales, basically you need to basically show a trading address and have an easy way of people to contact you. It's as simple as putting your trading address. Best place to put it is often in the footer of your website. Obviously it's going to be in your privacy. It's going to be the same address as where your data officer resides. But again, it's one of the things that I see quite a lot. There's quite a lot of websites out there that have very limited ways of making any kind of contact with a business, which to me seems crazy. It's like, of course you want people to get in touch with you, but have a trading address, put on an email address, telephone number, and basically just make it clear who you are, where you are. Have it on your contact page, put a map if you've got a proper office address. It's just what people expect to find of a proper business these days. So again, it is something that is required. So step number 6, I've got it listed as ICO, but this is basically related to ombudsman. So ICO registration is obviously a requirement for any business. You have to register if you're handling people's data. You have to have a data controller, but also if you're a property professional and you're a member of an ombudsman, most of these ombudsmen actually require you to show your affiliation and often your registration number on your website. The amount of estate agents' websites that I go to that don't have any reference to which ombudsman they're a member of. So breaking the law, not compliant. Get it sorted. And number 7, actually on the compliance cheat sheet, number 7 isn't a legal requirement at all. But what it's actually listed as is Google Analytics and a Facebook pixel. Now, while they're not legal requirements, I would say they're probably almost as important. You've got people coming to your website, you've got people knowing who you are, what your brand name is, looking at what you're doing. Maybe you've got properties on there, maybe you've got lists of your services on there. But if they don't contact you or fill out a form or pick up the phone or send you an email or jump onto your chatbot or whatever, if they come off your site, well, that's it, they're gone for good. You can't get them back. But if you've got Google Analytics, that can't get them back so much, but certainly the Facebook pixel can. You can use retargeting campaigns to get them back, but Google Analytics also is pretty good for knowing where people go on your site, what they're looking at, how long they spend there, etc. So that can give you a good idea of how your site's performing, especially if you're creating a lot of content, so you can see which content people are looking at, and that will give you a good idea of perhaps where you should focus on creating more content or giving more information and value. So those are the 7 quick steps on my cheat sheet that basically get your website legal and compliant for use in the UK, and it's for all property professionals. You can actually download a copy of this. I'll leave a link somewhere around. You can go and grab it through the chatbot or something. And if you've got any questions or if you've got any hints or tips or suggestions of your own that you want to talk about and get passed on, let me know. We'll chat. So hope this has been helpful, and I'll see you around. Take care for now.